It is an absolutely beautiful, windy, cold day here in London. Today we are going to discuss the process of getting any new venture off the ground, or at least the ideal process. The first question to identify when you start your idea is this going to be your full-time role, or you already have other ventures in your portfolio and you're just looking to diversify? If it's the second one, diversification, then you need to ask yourself, do you have the resources, stamina, and life to actually start something else right now? Or do you have the ability to delegate it to those who can handle it for you? Not every business can support delegation straight off the bat. A lot of people try to do everything in the beginning, which is normal, but that means if you're diversifying your portfolio, that can mean you'll run out of time in the day to actually get things done productively. The next thing is to identify if your idea is really any good. What problem are you solving? The very worst startup ideas are solutions seeking problems. I kid you not, there are so many people who come up with business ideas that are solutions seeking problems, meaning they're not actually solving anyone's problem, they're solving something, but no one really needs that solution. Okay, that's the worst way. The next question is, what scale of problem are you solving? Are you a vitamin? Are you an aspirin? Or are you CPR, life support, okay? The question is if you're a vitamin, meaning people don't really need what you're offering, but it could help them. It's not really super necessary. An aspirin comes in pretty necessary, but if you don't take it, you'll survive. And CPR, or life support, you're solving something that they absolutely critically need, or they will die, you know, and that's important. That's obviously the best case scenario, but not every business idea fits that. But that's something to start off with. If you're trying to come up with an idea, how can you be life support? How can you be that CPR? How can you not be the solution seeking a problem that no one really needs? All right, next thing, now you have your idea. What's the next step that you should do? Start calculating mathematically what funds you will need for an MVP, minimally viable product. Meaning how the absolute, sorry, I'm getting completely surrounded by tourists. What your product needs in order to be ready for market, that customers can use it. That's minimally viable product, MVP. What resources will you need in order to get that off the ground? Both human resources, which is obvious, you need to identify who your team is going to be or who you're going to hire or partner with, or outsource to. And you also need the financial resources. Now's the time to identify how much money you really need to get this off the ground. If you are engineering a brand new physical product, it doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter if you're going to contract the engineering to China, where it's probably the least expensive in the world for those kind of things. No matter what, you need some kind of funds. You're not doing this on a shoestring budget. As opposed to a computer app or a mobile app, you could develop that yourself if you have the time and know-how. So figure out exactly what it takes to build what you need and the resources you will need, because if you don't know it, you're kind of shooting blind and you're wasting your time. You want to know what it takes to get your business off the ground while you're just thinking it through mentally or writing it down in a form of an executive summary, but haven't actually invested any financial resources yet. Okay, you don't want to invest time or resources without knowing what you're getting into. If you discover that all of a sudden this new venture idea you have requires some form of, let's say, city contract or licensing or extremely expensive insurance coverage that's mandatory by law, you want to know this up front. You don't want it to be a surprise later that, oh my God, I need another $100,000 that I didn't expect I'd need. You don't want that to happen. You want to figure out your finances before you start. Next thing you have to do is figure out who's your team. That's right off the bat. I mentioned that a few moments ago, but that's the very initial thing you want to do. Know who you're working with. Don't just team up with someone because they're your friend. That's the worst way to build a team, unless your friend happens to have the exact skills your project needs. So many people I know team up with the wrong person because they're free labor, but they actually are unskilled to do the work. Okay, they might be your good friend, you might like them, you might get along, which makes for a great team, but it doesn't mean that your product is going to succeed because of that. So now you got your team, you got your product, your idea, and you have an idea of how much money your idea is going to cost. I just felt like using the word idea a few more times. All right, now, what's the next thing you do? You got to figure out, is this idea any good? How do you do that? The best way to do that is to pass the idea by people who have the funds to support launching it, meaning angel investors, venture capitalists, friends and family who invest in things regularly. Friends and family doesn't necessarily literally mean friends or family. It's a figure of speech for people in your network who have a lot of money, basically, and may very well want to invest in you. Now, you want to pass your idea by those people who regularly invest in new startup ventures because they have the experience to pick out any weak points in your idea and give you thoughts about whether this is a good idea, whether it's not, or whether you need to pivot. Now is the time to pivot. Pivot is a technology industry term, but it's growing to be pretty mainstream. Basically, it's what it sounds like. You change your direction of approach like 90 degrees, you know, completely do something different, 180 degrees. Do something completely different. Whew. I'm gonna try to film this way because the sun's probably too strong the other way. Wow, listen to them birds. A pivot, it means you completely change what you're planning to do. You were gonna do an ice cream shop, now you're going to become a pizza shop. All the resources are the same, but all the kitchen items and the staff is the same, and all the kitchen items change, and the places you get your support, your food ingredients change. I don't know, and this is the random example, but if you're going to pivot, now's the time to pivot. Well, it's just an idea, and you have nothing invested yet. You want that investor to say, this idea is good, but this is what you need to improve on. Or, this is your idea, but here's the risks. And this is what you need to figure out. Are these risks going to be a problem for you? If they're a problem, now's the time to create contingency plans, not before you throw money at it. Okay, now, in the absolute extreme case, the investor might turn around and say, this is a terrible idea, don't do it. And if more than one says that to you, start getting the red flags, start noticing those red flags. Pay attention when everyone tells you this is a bad idea, it's probably a bad idea. There are so many people who I know who've started businesses, they said, no one wants to give me any money, they don't think it's a good idea, but I'm sure it's gonna work and I'm gonna do it. And then they'll spend like 2 years in programming in their basement, like some computer idea, launching it, getting nowhere, just wasting your life away. When everyone tells you it's a bad idea, it doesn't necessarily mean your idea is bad, but it's a bad business. That you can be sure. It won't make money, okay? You could be as sure of it as you want. It's not, you don't know better than the people who invest in this stuff all the time because they got their money at risk. Every time they invest in something, they're throwing money at it. They don't want to lose their money. They want to make safe bets. Some of them are a little more comfortable with risk, but if they're doing this all day long and they're doing this due diligence and analyzing new ventures and businesses for profitability potential, should take what they say, you know, and actually bring it to heart. Don't just ignore it. If repeatedly people tell you they're not investing, this sucks. Listen to them. Bail. If you fail early, it's better than if you fail late. The longer you invest time and money into a project, the more expensive it is when you fail. You want to fail early, honestly. If you're gonna fail early. Don't throw a bunch of time and resources and tie your life up. Move on. There's lots of ideas out there. If you can fail during the idea phase, that's better than failing at any later phase. Okay. Now, if they say it's a good idea, are they going to give you money? See, a lot of them say, oh, it's a good idea, but I don't know. I'm not ready to invest in this. That's sometimes a yellow flag, meaning sometimes they're being genuine and sometimes they don't think it's a good idea, but they don't want to be blunt and say it's a bad idea. It happens. You kind of got to read people, read people's emotional responses and things like this. This church here is the oldest church in all of London, by the way. It's beautiful. Anyway, it's 1,400 years old or something like that. Anyway, 1,100 years old, 1,400, I don't remember. But either way, it's the oldest church in London. So now, you want to make sure that if you're gonna fail, fail early. And if you're gonna get some feedback from people, get it early also before you invest in too much. Because once you put in that time investment, sometimes you build features that can't change later. You want to pivot early, fail early. Wow, there's a little birdhouse up here. That's cute. Anything you do, you want to do early. While your business is starting is the point where you have the highest amount of uncertainty. As you progress, the uncertainty level goes away, but so the opportunity, I'm trying to block the wind to the camera. The opportunity for failing becomes higher risk, meaning there's more to lose. But the uncertainty is progressively gets less as your business goes on and you realize, hey, this is a good idea, it's making money, you know? That's when the uncertainty goes down. But in the beginning, be ready to fail. Don't get married to ideas. Oh my God, that's the worst thing that happens is when people get married to ideas. Especially when they're just in the idea phase, meaning they haven't even invested in, and some people can't take criticism. Can't be a good entrepreneur if you can't take criticism, honestly. It's rough, honestly. A startup entrepreneur, that role in life is rough. But you have to realize you don't know everything, and what people say, especially people who are venture capitalists or investors or angel investors, they know what they're talking about, and they could very well know better than you. They may not have your sector expertise, they may not know your business better than you, but they may be able to identify if your business is any good better than you. On those notes, I'm signing off from the absolutely beautiful London, the other side of the same church. There's a double-decker bus here. We'll end on that note. All right, signing off from London. Please like, subscribe, and share this with everyone you know. Share it whether you think I'm sending you on the right path or the wrong one. Just doesn't even matter. Just share it away because maybe somebody else will appreciate it. Or at least enjoy the tour of London if I don't fall at the very last step in the video. Here's the sign. Wait. 675 AD. All right, but these outer cement walls are only like 100 and something years old. The stone walls are the original ones. I got a beautiful tour of the inside of it before from one of the people who were working in the church. All right, anyway, it's free, by the way. It's an awesome place. Come on out to the marvelous London. Bring a heavier coat than me, because it's cold. Not cold, it's not so cold, it's windy, though. The wind never stops here. All right, thank you all for watching. See you in the next video. Later.
Yeah!